Okay, can people see my browser?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, great. So maybe in late 2020, there was some conversation at some of the tech calls about how we could support captions for audio and video file, because it's not something that Drupal necessarily supports right out of the box, although we did find an issue with patches on it to support it. So I had originally done kind of put in a PR with like implementing it, you know, on our own. But then once we saw that that work from that would be part of Islandora core, Drupal core, we went with sort of, I redid a PR to mimic sort of what that Drupal core work does, so that if that work eventually gets merged into Drupal core, we would be in like a better place with Islandora. But so what I wanted to show today was just a little demo of what it looks like to add an audio file with a caption and then play that back in the browser. There's one smallish PR that I have that's still open, but that's pulled into this demo. I am demoing in my local development environment, which is also my institution's site. So you will see some things which are not out of the box Islandora. But I couldn't get a demo environment up fast enough this morning. Yeah. So, and I have like a backup already made if the demo goes south that I can just show you. But this kind of things would look similar to what you'd experience in a regular Islandora site. In Islandora, if you use what you get from Islandora defaults, you'd have a repository item content type. We have, at my institution, ASU, we have a slightly different content type, which we call ASU repository item. So we'll go ahead and make one of those. Give it a title. And we don't really require much, but we'll also give it a model of audio. And we can save this. I'll publish it also. And now we can add some media. And I will show an audio file. I have an example right down here. So just like in regular Islandora, you'd give it an original file. And then what's new from maybe a month or so ago now is this track section down here. And so this allows you to supply one or many tracks for your audio or video file. So I'm going to go ahead and attach this VTT file. And it allows you the ability to supply labels, to give it a kind, and I'll choose captions since this is a captions file. And I'll set it as the default. You can add multiples. So like if you had, for example, captions in English and captions in French and captions in Spanish or something, you could add multiple captions files here, and you could specify the language and specify which one you want to be the default. The language dropdown is based on what languages you have configured and enabled in your entire Drupal site. So for me, I only have English enabled, but you might have more on your site. And the other thing I'll note here is that default track is important because some browsers' implementation of the HTML5 audio and video specifications do not automatically play the captions or give you a button to turn them on that I could see. So having a default set is the best guarantee that your captions will play in all browsers. So I'll just add this and hit save. So Islandora out of the box on the your main item page will display the service file as opposed to the original file, which will be generated sort of asynchronously out of the but I'm suspecting that I'm not going to get one because I probably have something messed up in my local environment. Yeah, so but in theory, if you have a working environment, you get a service file here. Now, one thing that's important is since Islandora is set up to display your service file, you really want your captions attached to your service file, not your original file. So for demo purposes, I'm just going to swap this to the service file so that we can see it in action. And now I will go look at this item, and we should see the player here. So this is an HTML5 player. And if we push play.
When I received the Nobel Prize for Literature, I got to wondering exactly how my songs related to literature.
So I'll pause it so that it's not bothering us. But basically, we have the HTML5 player, and then right above it is the captions track being displayed there. And as far as my testing has gone, this is working just fine in Safari, Chrome, and Firefox, as long as you supply, as long as you check that it's the default track, or some track is the default track. Because not all browsers give you like this button to turn the captions on and off, so you need that default so that it does it for you. And so that's kind of it. I will show you, I believe I have a working example with a video file. Let me. Oh, I need to add a track to it. Well, I can show you that as well. Just get this. Oh. Let's see. And the other thing I'll say is that most browsers support the VTT format. So that's what we're shipping with there. And we're using, I mentioned briefly, this HTML5 player. So you might be familiar with other embedded JavaScript players like Video.js or JW Player or something like that. The way that this works entirely with the HTML5 specification, and then one very, very tiny JavaScript file for the audio captions. But you are certainly welcome to use a different library or something like that. I think this is probably a good option for Islandora Core to ship with, so that we don't have to depend on an additional library. But you could certainly implement a very similar kind of thing with another library. Maybe this is gonna play. No, I guess not. I probably. Maybe I can add the file back. Let's see. I'll try it one more time, and if not, it's okay.
Close your eyes. Why? Now. Okay, good. What do you see at your left side, Emo? Well?
All right. I must have messed something up in my local, but you kind of can see what it would look like is you'd have a captions thing here, and it would display with the video in the video player. But yeah, so the idea is really that you attach to your audio or video file, you have an additional field for the track where you can supply one or many captions files, and then it should give you the option to play that back in your browser. And I would just say, like, this is kind of a starting point. I know it's not, it may not be perfect, or there might be more functionality that people are looking for, but it does give us kind of a baseline functionality that we can build on in the future. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions?